someone. Always trust my gut.
Hello and welcome to Gutted. I'm Aleece.
And I'm Tony, and we're here to spill our guts about horror films.
Before we get started today, we have a little podcast update.
Oh yeah, I've got some exciting stuff to update you with.
Yep, we do. We do. We have jumped on that wagon, that Patreon wagon.
That's right. We have started a Patreon.
We have.
Aleece, could you tell everybody about what we have planned for our Patreon page?
Yes, I can, Tony. So we have done quite a few different kinds of formats. We've done the Spill Your Guts episodes where we do a deep dive into one horror movie. We do Gut to Gut where we compare an original versus the remake, like Prom Night original versus Prom Night remake.
Those are always fun. Dawn of the Dead versus Dawn of the Dead remake.
Yeah, so the Gut to Guts are always fun. We have also done some top 10 lists, things or elements of movies that we think are just the best, or top 10 desert island, where we pick 10 movies that would come with us on a desert island. For our patrons, there's just one tier, $5 a month. And patrons also have the ability to choose or voice which kinds of episodes they want, what movies they want covered. So if there's a movie that we have not covered and you are part of our Patreon, then go ahead and request that movie and we will cover that perhaps in a Spill Your Gut episode. And also we have some ideas for the future. Perhaps some merch is in the works.
We have some merch in the works, definitely.
So who knows? We might have some tote bags, some cute gut stickers, little intestines. Who knows? A pin. Options are endless.
Options are endless.
Yeah.
So we're really excited to announce that we have some big plans coming for Gutted.
We got some plans.
Yeah. You'll be able to see all of those details on our Instagram page. So if you don't follow us on Instagram, it's at Gutted Horror Podcast. Mm-hmm. On Patreon, we are Gutted Horror Podcast.
So for today's episode, we are in the middle of summer. So what better movie to review than Burnt Offerings, 1976.
Directed by Dan Curtis and written by Dan Curtis, Robert Marasco, and William F. Nolan.
Mm-hmm. And this is one of our gut reaction episodes. We will recap and review the first half of the movie, press pause, offer our 5 predictions of what's going to happen in the second half, because this is a movie that we have not seen before.
Then we'll watch the second half of the movie, return with the results of our predictions. And if you haven't seen Burnt Offerings and want to play along, it's currently streaming on Shudder, Tubi, or AMC Plus. Watch about half of this movie. We stopped at the 57-minute mark. We press pause. You can come up with your own predictions to see if they align with ours. Maybe you are a horror aficionado and you know exactly what's going to happen. You can read the room very well.
Yeah.
You're a good guesser.
Yep. You're a good guesser, and we'll see how yours compare with ours.
I wanted to start this episode out with a little question for you, Aleece.
Yeah.
And, you know, because we are a married couple, it is kind of a question for both of us, but I wanted you to tell us the story of our worst Airbnb experience.
Oh, our worst Airbnb, because, this is a family on vacation. I guess maybe it was in Poland. It wasn't really an Airbnb. It was a hostel.
But we're not reviewing the movie Hostel.
I know. But it wasn't a hostel. That was scary.
Wait, what about our Airbnb in Seattle?
Oh, yeah, the stinky one? Yeah, that was bad too. I mean, we've traveled a bit, so we have a few, I guess, experiences. The stinkiest was our Airbnb in Seattle. We went for a music festival and the town was sold out. Like, you could not get another Airbnb anywhere else. Short notice. So we got to our lodgings, and when we laid down on the bed, we're just like, oh, what's that? There's like an odd stench in this bed. Where's it coming from? Is it like the bed itself? Is it the pillows? Is it the walls? And I think we finally figured out it was like deeply rooted in the bed.
Yeah, like you need to throw this mattress away, burn it immediately.
Yeah, this needs to be a burnt offering.
Was there a dead skunk inside of the mattress?
It didn't smell like skunk though, you know? It was like funky. It was like a deep musk, very deep musk funk. I almost would have preferred a skunk smell, but this was just so invasive in my nostrils. It was singed into my nose hairs even after we left. I could still smell it.
Can you still remember that stench?
Yes.
It's still ingrained. It's part of your trauma.
Yeah. Your olfactories are deeply rooted in your memory, and so I will never forget this musk.
Imagine a scenario in where you are taking your family on an extended summer vacation out in the country, and you find this big, marvelous, grandiose mansion that is available for rent for the mere price of $900 for the entire summer.
But here's the catch. You have to fix it up. You are the caretaker. Not worth it.
So I started out the question about the Airbnb because this, to me, we watched the first half of Burnt Offerings, and the one thing that was my takeaway was, what a terrible summer vacation.
I mean, so far, yeah, like I don't even think we've gotten to the nitty gritty of bad things. It's just like a lot of cleaning. That to me is a terrible vacation.
Yeah.
But the mama is loving it. She's like, I fixed everything up. I polished the concrete outside by the pool. And she's smiling about it. She's crazy.
How did you first hear about Burnt Offerings? Because it was just not on my radar at all until you'd mentioned it. And you mentioned it specifically for a reason.
Oh, I'm not sure if you even remember, but
I remember.
You remember? So I had first heard of Burnt Offerings whilst watching the special features on my Scream DVD. One of the featurettes, they were interviewing everybody on the crew, the cast and crew, what was the scariest horror movie they had seen. And somebody on the crew, I don't know if she was part of lighting or makeup or wardrobe, but she mentioned Burnt Offerings. She didn't say anything about it. She's just like, Burnt Offerings, terrifying. And I was like, oh, I wonder what that's about. It's been on my mind for years, probably decades, honestly.
I totally misremembered that. I thought that Burnt Offerings was mentioned as one of Randy's films to watch, a horror film in the movie Scream.
I actually don't remember if he mentioned Burnt Offerings. I just remember the featurette and the crew member mentioning Burnt Offerings.
So this is a recommendation from a crew member of the movie Scream,
from
the
1996. Yeah, I don't know who this person is, but it is on the featurette somewhere.
So it's been on our watch list for quite some time. I hadn't heard of it. I'm always down for the house is crazy and everyone's going to go crazy in it.
Yeah, the house makes you crazy.
Not exactly sure if this is a ghost film, if this is a haunted house.
Sounds like you're getting into predictions here.
Not getting into predictions, just like an overall sense of the film. So what's going on in the first half of this film?
What is going on indeed?
Yes, we have the Rolfe family.
The Rolfe family. We start with them in their family station wagon. They come upon this grand mansion.
It's definitely in a remote area. We meet our family, and it's mom, dad, and a son.
And a son, a little trio. Marion, played by Karen Black, which I know from one of the airport movies.
Yeah. I recognized her. I didn't know where I recognized her from, but yeah, it's from Airplane.
Yeah. No, not Airplane. Airport.
Airport. Okay.
Airport. Like
wait, Airplane is the Leslie Nielsen.
That's the
I love
the
that
parody.
Movie.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
She was not an airplane. She was an airport. I think 77, the one where she has to fly the airplane and she's a flight attendant. Mm-hmm. Oh, 77 goes in the water. So maybe it's 75. Yes. She's an Airport 1975.
So is this a sequel?
It's a sequel to the first Airport.
So this is like number 2?
Number 2.
Okay.
Before the one where they go in the water. That's my favorite one. So Airport 77. I haven't seen it.
You just spoiled it for me.
You've watched it with me.
Did we? I must have fallen asleep.
Blocked it out. It was a good one though.
Memory.
One of my favorite subgenres of movies are like these bad disaster movies. They're really fun. Earthquake, that's another good one.
So we have Karen Black. We also have Oliver Reed.
Oliver Reed.
Who we know from The Brood.
Yeah. He's like the drama therapist.
Yes.
The psychotherapist.
Great character in the movie.
Yeah. So he's the dad, Ben
And then
the
we
dad.
have the little boys, what, Davy?
Davy, played by Lee Montgomery. He was in something like Girls Just Want to Have Fun. I didn't see that movie. They meet the brother and sister, Roz and Arnold Allardyce.
Allardyce, yeah.
They live in the home with Mother, who is 85, and she comes with the house, basically. If you want to rent out the home, you have to take care of Mother.
This family is rolling up to this vacation home without having seen the home.
Well,
and without knowing a price.
Yeah.
They went into the house off of an ad that said the price is reasonable.
Yeah, for the right people.
And they hadn't seen the house.
Yeah.
So, pre-internet days, this is how people rolled in the 70s.
You kind of just had to do it. You had to go for it, you know?
Yeah.
Can't vet anything. You just have to see for yourself.
See one little printed ad in the newspaper and
That sounds
yeah,
good.
that sounds great. Let's go check it out.
Family time in
Yeah.
the mansion. Yeah. So they get there and Roz and Arnold, brother and sister. Arnold, played by Burgess Meredith, who in the same year was in Rocky.
Oh.
Yeah, he
I didn't recognize him, but
played
you,
Mickey
yeah.
in Rocky. Same year, was nominated for an Academy Award. Not for this, but for Rocky. Yeah, they're a little kooky and
Super kooky.
very kooky.
They also have a house caretaker who's just straight up
Kooky.
batty.
Yeah, straight up batty. Yeah, and he's like, oh, I'm going to take care of the plants. They're all dead.
Yeah.
Terrible caretaker. Yeah, these plants they're brown and withered. And even Marion makes a comment. She's like, oh, such a waste. It just bothers me.
So it's a huge estate, and
Yeah.
there's something up with the house.
There's something up with it. And there's something up with Roz and Arnold. They're very excited by this couple. And they're like, oh, we have a son. And they look outside and they watch little Davy playing around. He's jumping on a gazebo, falls off and scrapes his knee. They're like, oh, yeah, good. Like these.
He's got the devil in him.
Yeah, they're excited that this kid busted his knee up.
Yeah.
So what's that about?
Despite all of the red flags that are going on here, the mom is Marion. She is in love with this house.
Yeah.
She really wants to rent it.
Yeah. And they're like, okay, what's the price? And Roz is like, well, $900. And Ben's like, I don't know. She's like, for the whole summer. Like, ooh, that's a steal. What's the catch? Well, there's Mother. You have to feed Mother 3 times a day. And I don't know about you, but even if it was a great deal, I would not want to feed someone's mom.
Well, this deal goes from great to not so great because they end up basically being caretakers of the house.
Yeah.
They go off and Ben, he's a little more skeptical, but Marion, she really loves the house. She really wants to go for it.
And he says, oh, you really need this, don't you? And she's like, you know I do. So I'm like, oh, why does she really need this vacation house? What's the recent, perhaps, trauma?
Is there something stale in the marriage they need to shake it up? Does she need some alone time?
If she needs alone time, going off to this mansion with just your husband and kid.
And aunt.
And aunt.
So we get Aunt Elizabeth, played by
Betty Davis.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. So once Ben caves, he's like, okay, let's take that house for the summer. And Marion's all happy and he grabs her boob, so he's happy. And
that's a full-on grope.
It's a very, very full-on grope. And I'm like, did he ad-lib that?
I think I mentioned when we were watching, I was like, I wonder how many takes they did of that scene.
Yeah.
Is that a one-taker?
Oliver's like, I don't know how I felt about that one. Let's try it again.
Can we get another round of that?
It definitely seemed like one of those moments where it's like the actor's taking it upon himself to insert little nuances into the marriage character.
Exactly.
They head back to the mansion with Aunt Elizabeth in tow, Betty Davis.
They are about to embark on a summer of fun.
Summer of fun. There's an empty pool that looks disgusting. They're amped about it.
It's a big property, a big estate. And while it is very beautiful and, I don't know, looks prestigious, there's a lot of work to do, and right when they move in, they get to work, and it's like they're cleaning out the pool. Marion, she is vacuuming and she's redecorating
with one of those heavy 70s vacuums, made of metal. They look so huge and cumbersome, and she's vacuuming each stair.
And I think Ben at one point greets her after going to a grocery store or something. And he's like, how's it going, slave?
He said that?
Yeah, he had some weird line like that.
No, he didn't.
Like he cheekily said it while she's vacuuming.
He called her a slave?
Because she was doing all of this housework. This is a bad deal from the start. They basically paid $900 to work on the house for the summer.
Yeah, like to make it better than when they got it.
Yeah, they're the gardeners, they're the maids. They have to watch over some mysterious old lady who never leaves her room.
And Marion's like, I'll take care of her. I'll feed her 3 times a day.
No one's ever seen her. She has these really creepy framed photos in her room.
In her sitting room. All these photos that they say is like a lifetime of memories.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the photos, when Marion's looking at them, she's looking at them kind of like perplexed. And I think they are postmortem photos because the eyes are just a little too wide open.
We also saw a bunch of photographs of the house itself. I think it was supposed to show the family that this house has been here for a long time.
Yeah. Roz, the sister, initially says something like, oh, this house is almost immortal.
You're going to really love this house in the summer when it comes alive.
It takes care of itself.
Children are good for the house. Some of the red flags. Light bulbs are out, and then they mysteriously work
okay.
out of nowhere.
So when they go downstairs to pop open that celebratory bottle of champagne, at first the light bulb in the pantry is burnt out. Ben cuts his finger opening the bottle. Davy goes into the pantry and turns on the light just instinctively. The light actually does turn on.
He's like, oh, ho-hos.
Ding
I see
dongs.
some ding-dongs.
I see ding-dongs. Yeah, not realizing that the light that was burnt out is now in working order.
They also mentioned that none of the clocks in the house work.
They're not working.
Mm-mm. There's also a plant that the groundskeeper is getting ready to toss, and he's like, this plant is dead. And then he turns the plant around, and there's a little new growth on it.
A little sprig, a little green sprig.
And he's like, well, I'll be damned.
You know, weird. Right after Davy scraped his knee.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Okay. So they're exploring the house. Mom is furiously cleaning.
Yeah, and Davy and Dad have stumbled across the family cemetery. And Ben even says, oh, they're all Allardyces. And they only go up to 1890s at the most recent. Like, oh, why did they stop burying their descendants after 1890? Interesting.
Yeah. So another clue.
Another clue. And there's like a rusty bike that the camera zooms in on. Why?
So this is the thing. When we start watching movies with a critical eye in hopes of predicting the second half, we are looking at these little details more than what they are meant to be. Yeah.
Maybe the cameraman just thought it was a cool shot.
Yeah,
Rusty
it's just
bike
a nice shot of a rusty bike.
Rusty bike and overgrown grass.
It
Looks
just
cool.
shows that the house is old.
It's old. Yeah. Daddy and Davy go to the pool to start cleaning that mess hole out.
And there's like full-on tree branches
Whole
in
trees.
the pool.
Yeah.
He's trying to fix a sub pump kind of thing to get the water out. And
Yeah. And Davy's like, I can do it. So Davy figures it out. So
how old is Davy?
Davy's like 12.
12? Okay.
He's 12. He's
Yeah,
like,
12-year-old
I can figure that
with
out.
mechanical knowledge. They used to have shop
Exactly.
class back in the day and wood shop like in middle school at least.
Yeah. And
elementary.
pool pump class.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fix your pool pump.
These are the classes in education that
We
we
need
are
to bring
missing these
back.
days. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know how to fix
I want
a pool
more
pump.
sixth graders knowing how to change out a transmission.
Yeah. Instead, all my sixth graders are telling me how to use an app or what an app is.
So they're out there fixing the pool. Aunt Elizabeth, she's watching along. She's just kind of sunbathing.
Yeah.
She's just dressed fabulously in every scene, and she has a really great personality.
Yeah, she
surrounding
seems
her.
vibrant, full of life.
She's
I
a
like Aunt
painter.
Elizabeth. She paints. She's like, I smoke and I drink. Ha ha ha. She seems like a hoot. I think it's like a week later, and Marion is back at like the door of Mrs. Allardyce again, saying, okay, it's been over a week and you haven't eaten anything. I'm like, okay, that lady's probably dead. If it's been a week and she hasn't eaten anything that you've tried to give her, it's time to worry.
So who is Mrs. Allardyce?
We have not met
do
her
not
yet.
know,
I
yeah.
know. Is she even in the room? Apparently she is, because the very next meal, the food has been eaten. We still have not seen her, but at least the food's finally been eaten.
She's like a snake. She only needs to eat once a week or so.
Yeah. She's good after like one egg.
Yeah.
Marion's happy. She's like, oh, yay, my egg got eaten. Or my porridge. I don't know.
She loves caring for the house and caring for Miss Allardyce.
She just loves it. There's like a little jewelry box in the sitting room that she keeps popping open and playing that song, and she looks so happy and at ease. And like, the tune's not that good.
People love those little music boxes. Those are fun.
They're a little creepy.
Everyone always says that they're creepy, but what makes them creepy?
After you wind it up and you play it, once it starts to wind down and it gets slower and slower, that's the creepy part.
Ding, ding, ding.
That's scary. As a child who has had jewelry boxes, I always would shut the box when I got too near the end because it's scary.
All right, so Ben and Davy, they do end up getting this pool in order.
They do. It looks great.
Yeah. They've got a lot of work done on this house. They've trimmed the yard. They've washed all the windows and dusted everything.
Yeah, and even Ben's like, okay, Marian, everything looks great. Come on outside and let's, go in the pool. She's like, nope, busy, busy, busy. I'm still gonna clean. Like, all right.
She's like the mom in Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah.
Who's on uppers, just cleaning the house.
Just cleaning
like
everything manically.
Yeah. They get the pool going. The film does depict that it is hot very well. Like, I feel sweaty.
I feel sweaty now talking about it.
That's because it's warm in the room. We're going through a heat wave.
Well, we want to have a full 4D experience.
Yeah, so exactly.
We purposefully made sure it was hot today. So Ben jumps in the pool. And at the bottom of the pool, he finds these tiny little circle-rimmed glasses that are broken. He puts them on for some reason.
Oh, I didn't notice that he put them on.
He put them on. And so when he's at first playing with Davy, and Davy's like, oh, it's a sea monster, it's a sea monster. Then we get our pretty interesting roughhouse scene.
And it's a pretty innocent and actually quite a sweet scene of a dad playing with his son. It just sort of slowly morphs into something that I found very creepy, where he is trying to drown his son. He's roughhousing him. He's putting him under the water, dipping him in and out.
He's got him in like a headlock at one point. The way it escalates is pretty terrifying because it is sweet at first. Like, he's doing flips off Dad's shoulders. Even Aunt Elizabeth is like, that's enough. Okay, we're good now. We're good.
Yeah. And she's like, stop that. You're hurting him. And it's like he's full on trying to kill this little boy.
Yeah. Finally, Davy underwater grabs his goggles. And when he comes to the surface, he smacks his dad square in the face and his nose starts dripping with blood.
He has this madness in his eyes.
Almost like he was a sea monster. It's like, he just retreat. Like when you punch a shark in the nose.
Yeah. Getting some Shining vibes here.
Definitely some Shining vibes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Something's going on. Dad is taken by the power of the house, whatever it is. He changes. And the way that Oliver Reed delivered in the scene, I thought was very unnerving. It was a long scene.
It was long.
I really felt for Davy. I felt like I was drowning.
Oliver Reed, as an actor, he looks like he could be very gentle. Like, he has a almost like gentle looking face, but he can also look very imposing because he has very broad shoulders.
Mm-hmm. And now there's this separation in the house. Like, everyone's kind of in their corner. It's almost in sense like an Amityville Horror thing where everyone is just acting off because of the house. Something is not right.
Something is amiss. And later that night, Ben does have a nightmare. In this nightmare scene, Ben is at his mom's funeral. He looks kind of similar to Davy, and he's looking at this man who I call Tall and Toothy. Mr.
Tall and Toothy.
Tall and Toothy. Very lanky dude with some circle-rimmed eyeglasses. Circle-rimmed sunglasses. Yeah. And he has like little chauffeur hat. I think he is Ben's chauffeur at this funeral. But what's so eerie is that he's just smiling with this toothy grin. Totally inappropriate for a funeral. That's why it's scary.
What, the toothy grin is inappropriate? The toothy grin. Oh, got it.
At a funeral?
My thought on this scene was that people in the 70s looked a little shifty. And I wrote that down in my notes.
Shifty.
Shifty, meaning that it's like in the movie Phantasm, the tall man.
Yeah.
He didn't really have to do much. He looks scary, standing there.
His walk was really scary.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of. This character in the dream sequence was just standing there and smiling. And that smile was out of place.
Yeah.
But it made me think like, wow, people in the 70s, they looked scary. To further my point, in these movies in the 70s, the way that they looked, they were often a little more sweaty.
More sweaty, more natural.
Teeth a little more messed up
Yeah,
than today's standards.
I would argue natural.
Natural, yes.
Yes.
So hair frizzy,
Yeah.
dry looking.
Yes.
You know, it's not the polished people that you see of the post
2000. Yeah, you have, the hair that's been very well manicured and lacquered up. There's not a frizz in sight. Everyone has very straight and white teeth, almost very uniform.
Yeah. So it's not your J.J. Abrams Star Trek style person that you get just in general in 70s horror. And I think that actually adds a layer
to
of
the creepiness,
making it creepy because everybody just kind of looks creepy.
Everyone just looks real.
The hairstyles at the time, this sort of like, what do you call it? Popper boy, medieval cut.
The little page boy.
The long hair bowl cut kind of thing.
Yeah, little page boy.
I find all that a little creepy.
You think that's creepy?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I think it adds to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Adds to the natural factor. I think it adds to the fact or the factor of, if these are real people, then this could actually happen.
Right.
Whereas if you're seeing someone with a very well manicured head of hair and teeth, then you're like, oh, that's not real.
It breaks you out of it. The fantasy.
You're like, that's not going to happen. That's too pretty.
Everybody looks like a model. Although the people in this movie are very attractive. Oliver Reed and Karen Black, they have an attractiveness to them.
They're attractive in a very natural way.
Yeah.
They don't have the, super shiny lacquered up hair.
Yeah. They look different than actors you would see in a contemporary horror movie.
Right. They're attractive people, but they have flaws like everybody else does.
So to me, that adds to the unsettlingness of this film.
Yeah, the realism, the unsettling realism of the film.
Yeah.
So after Ben's nightmare, he wakes up and tells Mary, and he's like, oh, I had that dream again about my mom's funeral.
And at this point, everybody, to me, seems like something's going on with them. Except for Davy, we haven't really
Davy seems fine. Yeah. We later on have the nighttime pool romp where Ben's still shaken up. He's still by the pool, and Marion comes outside, very ghostly in her white dressing gown. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, you're still bothered by that? That was yesterday. It was ages ago. And Ben's like, oh, yeah, it was yesterday. Still shaken up about it. She's like, well, let's go for a swim. It might make you feel better. And so he jumps in the pool, and he's like, come on in, honey. And she does. She strips nude and jumps in, and he mistakenly takes that for an invitation to do more. She's like, nope, not in the mood, and she hops out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we get this really awkward, tense scene where he goes after her, and he's like, come on, let's make love here in the field. And she almost does, but then she catches a glimpse of Mrs. Allardyce's window on the top floor of the house and suddenly goes into a panic. And she's almost screaming and crying. And she cries out, no, don't. You don't understand. You mustn't. Yeah. And then he stops and he's like, okay.
Yeah, they got real awkward real fast.
It got really awkward because her emotions just flooded to the surface.
So we have some strained marriage, some just off behavior.
Yeah, it's becoming more and more strained. And Ben is pissed in the kitchen and drinking his coffee and smoking his cigarette. And he confronts Marion about not coming to bed. And she's like, oh, I just, I forgot. I fell asleep in the sitting chair. He's like, I'm going to go trim the drive.
And he's just out there with the machete, just hacking away at this jungle's worth of drive bushes.
Yeah, that's his way of trimming the drive. He really needs to blow off some steam, so he grabs the machete.
He's shirtless and just sweating profusely.
Bullets.
Yeah.
And then Aunt Elizabeth finally comes downstairs. It's about noon, and she's wiped out. And Marion, all chipper, is like, oh, you never sleep in. And Aunt Elizabeth is like, oh, yeah, I am tired. I am pooped. And she's looking in the mirror at all the bags under her eyes that seem to be increasing. And she looks at Marion. She's like, oh, you're getting some grays too. And Marion's pumped about it. She's like, yeah, I take after my Aunt Mary.
Yeah, that's good. Some body positivity right there.
Yeah, she's really excited about all her new grays that seem to crop up overnight.
Something is draining them or altering their behavior.
So right before we stop, Aunt Elizabeth is going to take a nap. But then she's like, no, that's stupid. I need to wake up, because I'm usually full of energy. Mm-hmm. So she decides to pay Mrs. Allardyce a visit. She's going to show her some of her paintings. She knocks on Mrs. Allardyce's door. And who opens it? Marion. She's like, what do you want? Aunt Elizabeth is trying to get in. She's like, I want to, say thank you to our benefactor. I want to come in. Marion's like, no, she's sleeping.
See, I don't even know if Marion has been inside of Mrs. Allardyce's room. She just kind of hangs out in the waiting room.
Yeah, she hangs out in the sitting room with all those pictures, the lifetime of memories, and the wing chair.
Yeah, she's totally entranced by not only the house, but Mrs. Allardyce.
Yeah.
She has taken on full responsibility to take care of this woman who I don't think she's even seen.
I don't think she's seen her. She's just feeding her.
Yeah.
Someone's eating it.
Meanwhile, the rest of the house is going either mad, missing,
or fatigued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Missing refers to Davy. What's happening?
Where is Davy? What's he been doing?
I think we're going to get more of Davy in the second half.
I think so too. Because Davy has to be affected in some way. We just haven't gotten to it.
What are your thoughts on the film?
I'm enjoying it so far. I think it is a bit of a slow burn offering.
Yeah, a slow burn offering.
A slow burn offering. But I feel like it is ramping up to something big. Otherwise, that one crew member on screen would not have said it was one of the scariest movies she had seen. So
yeah.
I'm trusting her.
Okay. Trust in the Scream crew member.
Trusting in the crew member on Scream because in 1996, at the time, Scream was like the scariest movie.
Yeah.
So Burned Offerings has to be up there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're enjoying it. What about it are you enjoying?
I'm enjoying the eeriness of everything. And it does have some Shining vibes, but The Shining wasn't written until the next year. So The Shining wasn't written until 1977.
Oh, actually, you know what? I didn't put that together. I just assumed that The Shining predated this.
No.
So this was 76, right?
Yeah. And The Shining, the movie came out in 1980.
Oh, okay. What year was Amityville Horror?
The Amityville Horror film came out in 1979. So this predates Amityville Horror, The Shining book, and the movie.
We have this house driving the family mad.
Yeah.
This is the thing about deals that are too good to be true.
Although I don't feel like this was too good to be true. It doesn't even sound like a good deal at all.
$900 to do some yard work?
No, not even for today's standards. It's someone's like, I will charge you $900 for the whole summer if you fix up this entire house. And there's a pool that you need to fix up. Pools are a lot of work. And just the size of this property, I'm like, no, you need to pay me $900 or more to fix up this property.
It's a live work situation.
Yeah. If it was completely an even deal, okay, you can live here for free if you fix it up a little bit and feed my mom.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I guess.
I feel like deals like this are still going down and people are accepting them all the time.
The living in exchange for work, that's a good deal. But having to pay to work, that's not a good deal. So I don't know about these.
You're paying to live and work. You're paying to have a place to live, but also you have to work in exchange for the low rate.
Bad deal.
Bad deal.
It's not even that low.
Wouldn't do it.
I would not do it. Would you?
That pool looked pretty nice.
Did it?
Yeah, it's pretty hot today, so I'm gonna go for the deal.
Fine.
Let's see if I change my mind after we watch the second half.
Well, would you rather clean out the pool or do all the cleaning in the house that Mom's been doing?
I'll take care of the pool.
All right. Only because I would get to be inside where I'm assuming it's air conditioned and not full of sunlight.
I didn't see, that did not look like an air conditioned house.
All right, so it's not, well, maybe
there's no way that
it's
house is air
self-cooling.
conditioned.
It seems self-cooling.
That could be possible. It might be drafty, yes.
It might be drafty. So I feel like I guess I would rather be vacuuming in the house because at least I wouldn't get sunburnt.
Yeah.
They both seem like bum deals to me. I don't want to do either one.
So far I am enjoying the score. I feel like
the score, especially in the beginning.
The thing to me that's making the movie very tense.
Yeah. That cascading string sound.
I feel like a bunch of modern ghost movies try to use this effect in their score, but it sounds a little overdone at times.
Sometimes I feel like the score actually goes on an incline to scare you, or do a little jump scare.
Are you talking about this score, or are you talking about other movies?
Other horror movies that use the strings? I feel like they usually go on an incline, like almost like the Psycho effect.
Yeah.
But this one is doing the opposite.
The score is definitely adding to this sense of
Tension,
dread
yeah.
and tension. It's really building up to something.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying the
Like
cello.
You're spiraling down. You're falling deep into somewhere. You don't know where. It is a good score.
I'm enjoying Aunt Elizabeth's performance.
Yeah. I am
And
too.
Oliver Reed. Actually, all the performances are pretty solid so
Also,
far.
I like the look of Aunt Elizabeth in this house. Like when she's walking up the staircase to go to Mrs. Allardyce's room, she's wearing this very vibrant floral jacket and she has very bright orange lipstick on. And she's kind of against a pale gray staircase. So she's the only pop of color in this house or in the rooms that she's going in.
The house is lacking some vibrancy. It's very I don't know, regal.
Yeah.
With the ornate wallpapers and the antique furniture and all that.
Yeah.
But it does have this sort of grayness to it.
It has a faded gray to it.
Yeah.
And even though Aunt Elizabeth is trying to fight her fatigue, you can tell she still has this vibrancy that's splashing against this kind of pale, ghostly house.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Should we get into some predictions?
Yeah, let's talk about predictions.
Okay. First prediction is that Aunt Elizabeth dies.
Oh. What makes you think that?
You know, she's getting more and more fatigued. I think she's just going to die of natural causes in bed. So she'll just kind of go to sleep one night and not wake up, and they'll be like, oh, I guess she was pretty old. And they'll be sad, but they won't think anything is amiss.
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh, she died. And they'll, still hang out. It's like, well, we have a few more weeks left here on vacation. So
just keep her in the fridge and we'll
just keep her in that one room.
I like that prediction quite a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. Number 2, the Allardyces are vampires.
The Allardyces are vampires.
They're vampires.
Okay, so this is a vampire movie.
They're a type of vampire.
Okay.
They can still be in sunlight and stuff, but they're type of vampires.
They're energy vampires.
Kind of.
For those who watch What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah. And that's why the tombstones end at the 1890s, because before the 1890s, they were not vampires. They were just regular people.
Yeah.
They died. And then at some point, some visitor came to the Allardyces estate and made the people of the 1890s vampires.
Oh.
And that's why you don't see any more headstones with any Allardyces in the graveyard.
Interesting. Okay, so when they need a rest, is it because it's summer and they need to sleep in their coffins?
Yeah, maybe they do. They hibernate. They're like bears.
Okay. So you're going the route of vampire. Interesting.
They're seasonal vampires. Yeah.
Interesting. They're like snowbirds, but
They are.
vampire
Yeah,
snowbirds.
only from July 1st to Labor Day. That's when they get to go to bed.
I like that prediction. I can get on board with that.
Yeah, they would prefer to not be in the sunlight during the hottest months of the year, which is why they go to bed for July and August.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And number 3, the house is a vampire.
Interesting. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So the vampirism is not only restricted, it's not just restricted to humans. The house itself is a vampire.
Okay. That house is draining the life force of this family, the Rolfe family.
Yes, that's why every time you see that somebody gets injured, the house gets cleaner and more beautiful and pristine. Like in the very beginning, what's his face? Davy scraped his knee. We saw the little sprig of green come out of that plant that was dead.
Oh.
When Ben chipped or cut his finger on the champagne bottle, the light bulb went on. And when he got hit in the face by Davy, when Ben got hit in the face by Davy in the pool and he bled, his nose bled into the pool, the next morning, the pool looked like new.
Wow. Okay. Good attention to detail there.
So every time somebody bleeds, the house gets stronger.
These are big predictions. I'm curious what your whopper is going to be. We're only at prediction 3 and we're already in vampire realm.
Well, I mean, number 4 is pretty boring.
All right. You should put number 4 and number 2 if it's boring.
Oh, well. Well, number 4 is Davy will put out an actual fire.
Oh, my God. That sounds like one of my predictions.
Hold on. So, Davy will put out an actual fire with the pool pump.
Oh, okay. Yeah, very practical.
Yeah.
What is that?
Because they made note that he knows how to work the pool pump. So he'll get the pool pump and put out a fire somewhere.
How is that not prediction number one? You got all the Whoppers front loaded. And then the next prediction is going to be like...
Someone goes to bed.
Yeah. Davy will walk into the bathroom.
That's a cheating prediction. Someone's going to blink. You can't have those predictions.
Is this your Whopper?
My fifth one, it might be a Whopper. Number 5, the burnt offerings are the Rolfs.
The Rolfs. Okay.
They all get set on fire.
Wow. Okay. You're taking it to a very grim, violent, and dark place.
Yes.
And here I was thinking they're going to all live happily ever after.
No. So towards the end of the movie, they all age increasingly. They age and are lit on fire. And as a final offering to the house. Yes. So
they will be the guests that are offered to the house.
They are offered to the house.
And they had to pay $900 for this?
Well,
what a bum deal.
I think the $900 was to hook them. You can't just say free, otherwise no one's gonna like.
No one trusts free. But
no one trusts free, but a nominal fee. They'll be like, all right, okay, I could see this being plausible. And that's why when they got there, there's a note on the door that said, "Don't worry about anything. The house is yours," or whatever. We had to go off somewhere suddenly, so they didn't even pay the $900 yet. So I think that was just something.
There's a lot of trust in the 70s.
Yeah, well, the allergist just said 900 initially to get them to come.
Yeah. See, this is pre-Venmo. This is even pre-Craigslist.
Yeah, leave the money under the mat. We'll get it later.
That's why I'm glad to be alive now, because we know better.
We know better.
We've learned the lessons of these 70s horror films.
Yeah.
Where the family's just doing everything wrong. So many red flags. Yeah. So many. And yet.
Yeah.
All right, so that was
my 5. Yeah, they are the burnt offerings.
They are the burnt offerings.
So I'm not quite sure how it ties in with Davy putting out a fire and they still get burned anyway.
He puts out the fire after they're dead.
Oh.
And then they're just skeletons.
Yeah, and he's like, shoot, I guess I waited too long.
Damn,
Waited too long. Oh well.
Okay, my predictions. Those are great predictions, by the way. We watch a lot of movies together, and your predictions might be similar to my predictions, and it is actually a little scary, a little frightening.
A little frightening that we're...
Or is it sweet?
Is it sweet?
I think it's sweet.
All right, you guys, you let us know. Is it sweet or frightening that we have the same predictions?
Do we? Yeah.
Do we need to make more friends, basically?
I'm gonna move my number 2 prediction to my number 1 prediction.
Oh, is number
just to
2?
get it right out of the way.
All right. Is it boring?
No, I don't think any of my predictions are boring. Right. I really tried on this one because it is tough for this type of movie. Normally we like to cover slashers for this format of
it's
episode.
Easier. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're very predictable.
But for something supernatural kind of like this, you have to pay attention to more details.
That is true, yeah. And do you think that in every movie they leave these little clues for you to solve the puzzle of the movie?
I always assume they are, and then it turns out they're not. Man, I was way off in The Burning.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah, watch our episode on The Burning to see how off we were.
That stupid tiger.
So my number 1 prediction is that Aunt Liz will die in her sleep because she is getting tired. I had the same exact prediction as you.
She's getting older by the minute.
But aren't you surprised that I had the very same exact prediction? That she, not only is she going to die, because she's going to die in her sleep.
And I mean, anyone can guess that she's going to die, but we both guessed that she's going to die in her sleep. Yeah, good.
All right. So we don't even talk about that because we already talked about it. So we'll just move along. My number 2 prediction is that Pappy, also known as Oliver Reed, also known as Ben, is going to go full Jack Torrance.
Yep. That sounds plausible.
I saw him wielding that machete, hacking up those leaves. And roughhousing in the pool. Oh, yeah. The fact that he has a typewriter.
There's a typewriter in his office?
Yeah. I didn't know that this came out before The Shining, but I have a feeling that he's going to go full madman at some point in the house.
That's a good prediction. I don't know why I didn't guess that too.
I don't know if he's going to actually kill anybody. I think he's going to attempt to kill everybody.
Yeah. He'll hack down some doors.
Yeah.
Try to squeeze his little face through. Here's Ben.
Stanley, did you just rip off Burnt Offerings?
You mean Steven?
Okay, so Steven and Stanley.
Steven and Stanley.
Rip off artists.
Ripped off Burnt Offerings.
Yes. Okay, my number 3 prediction is that Mrs. Allardyce is dead, like the mummified grandpa in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, or sort of like a Psycho situation.
Then who's eating the porridge?
That
Marion.
I didn't quite figure out.
Marion's eating the food herself. She's crazy.
She's just gone full nuts.
She's gone full crazy.
Maybe she's going to go Jack Torrance.
Oh, she might. That would be great.
That would be actually really great.
I would like that, actually.
Yeah. But, you know, I'm just wondering, there's all this mystery around Mrs. Allardyce. We haven't seen her. She's in this room locked away. She's sleeping. Someone's eating the food. And Marion is up there tending to her daily, constantly. She's always in the room. And so I'm just thinking, like, what's the deal with Mrs. Allardyce? What's going to be the big reveal?
Yeah.
And I just kind of think it's going to be like she's a mummified corpse sitting in a chair.
She is.
And that's why she never leaves the house.
Yeah. And I kind of think you're right. I think Marion's been eating the food and forgetting.
She's hungry.
Yeah.
All that cleaning, she's burning a lot of calories.
Yeah.
My number 4 prediction, the house feeds on the suffering of its inhabitants. Things get repaired after somebody is hurt. I noticed that same detail that you did. So I think that the house is also a vampire of some sort.
Yeah.
It's like a ghost vampire.
It is
me.
like a type of vampire. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
not like a literal vampire with fangs, but it's like a type of vampire that feeds off.
It's like an
people.
energy vampire. So it's feeding off the vitality of this family.
Exactly.
And it's kind of excited by spilt blood in a way, or some sort of harm or injury or suffering. So that's why I said suffering. I should have remembered the bloody nose. For some reason that went over my head, but I was thinking it was the incident of pain and hurt.
Yeah, it
that
could
was
be.
feeding
The
the house.
trauma in the pool.
Yeah, so that's where I was going with that. I also thought that was curious because we both had the feeling that the house is the thing that is the villain. The house might be the vampire.
Yeah, and the Allardyces are almost like the familiars of the house.
Yeah, so that's really creepy and that's really interesting. So I'm excited to see the second half. So that leads me to my 5th prediction, my Whopper. Which kind of goes along with this ghost vampire theory. Somebody is going to come by after everything is all said and done, and they're going to be like, that house burned down 100 years ago.
Oh.
That house doesn't exist.
The house was the burnt offering.
So, yeah, I was trying to think, like, what is the burnt offering? Because that is one of the questions I was trying to pose to myself. I like your idea that the family is the burnt offering, and I was thinking maybe the house is going to burn. It's a ghost vampire house. I don't know. Honestly, it's hard to say.
The title is so mysterious. It's almost like the title's going to be the big reveal at the end. Okay, I have a couple questions. Do you think there's something more to the line when Ben says to Marion, this means a lot to you, doesn't it? And she says, you know it does.
Like some sort of underlying tension in their marriage?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's probably something, but I didn't really give that much thought, to be honest.
Okay.
It seems like the marriage has gone a little stale. There is that moment when Ben and Marion are, it's like right before he was getting a little too aggressive on the lawn. And he's like, I know after 13 years, things might not be so blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, he's like, am I that repulsive? And she said, no, you are incredibly sexy.
Yeah, I didn't believe her, though.
I didn't believe her. I mean, I believed her in that one moment. Then right afterwards, no. Like, oh. Not that sexy.
So yeah, maybe they're going on this vacation to mend their marriage, but it's honestly doing the exact opposite.
I was thinking that she seems like she has suffered a recent loss.
Oh, okay.
And so I was thinking perhaps she suffered the loss of a pregnancy.
Okay.
And that's why she needs a vacation to get away. She does find her husband attractive, but she's not ready to be intimate yet because of this loss that she suffered within her body, emotionally and physically. And that could explain the feeling of not wanting to be intimate right then.
Yeah.
But also needing a vacation from her day-to-day back at home.
Yeah. I could see that. That's a very interesting point. Yeah. All right. What's your next question?
What is the trauma from Ben's mom's funeral. And the toothy tall man. That guy has to come back into play. He's so creepy.
Maybe the loss of a parent is just something that he's working through. So yeah, if they're both going through some sort of trauma and loss, maybe that's why they were selected for this house.
The house selected them.
I actually didn't give too much thought to that either. I was too stuck in like, this house is a vampire.
The house is a vampire.
So many dead plants that are coming back to life.
Yeah.
And nobody's watering them. Or maybe somebody's watering them.
Marion's cleaning up a storm, but I have not seen her water a plant. So she can't do it all. She's only one person.
It's a huge house. That's a lot of chores.
Huge undertaking. But this toothy tall man, do you think that this man is just a figment of his nightmares? Or do you think he was actually at his mom's funeral?
In movies, I want to believe that if that character is a creepy character in his dream, then we'll see that creepy character in the movie.
I feel like he will come back. I feel like somehow Ben is going to manifest this toothy tall man.
They get a visitor and it's this guy.
It's the toothy tall man.
Yeah.
He's the milkman.
He's coming to check on the house.
He's going to come with a delivery, and it'll be the same guy wearing those little circle-rimmed sunglasses.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. I don't know about you, but I'm quite excited to finish the movie.
I am too. All right.
Righteousness. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death.
Welcome back. We just finished the second half of Burnt Offerings. What's going on in the second half? Because that was actually pretty crazy.
Yeah, especially like the last 5 minutes. We left off with Aunt Elizabeth trying to see Mrs. Allardyce, much to Marion's chagrin. She does not allow her to.
We immediately get a scene of the tall and toothy, as you like to call him.
Yes.
Character known as the chauffeur in the credits.
Yeah, tall and toothy shows up pretty quickly after we broke for the last time.
And that scene of terror by Oliver Reed was something that I thought was so gripping.
Like how he was gripping his can?
He was gripping his can.
He was literally gripping.
And shaking. He looked like his head was going to explode.
He smashed the Coors can on his face and in his hands. That's how gripping he was, literally. And
so we get this guy from his dream who is now appearing in real life, or is he? Because he kind of disappears.
Yeah, he comes down the driveway in that hearse with a coffin in the back seat and gives us his grin. And then Ben almost blinks and he's gone.
Yeah, so is it part of his imagination? Is the house driving him mad?
Later on that night, Dad wakes up and he goes into Davy's room.
Yeah, he must know something's up.
Yeah, so something's amiss and he tries to get into Davy's room. He has to kick the door open and Davy's passed out cold. There's a gas leak in the room. He has to break the window open. The next morning, Aunt Elizabeth is looking a little worse for wear. She's starting to look even more pasty and sweaty.
I think she stopped wearing makeup at this point.
She stopped wearing makeup. She looks more gray and less vibrant. And she goes to Marion and says, "You don't think it was my fault, do you?" Marion basically blames her for being old and says, "You forgot things. It's okay." And Aunt Elizabeth is pissed at this comment.
Marion is also being super defensive at this point towards the house and any suggestion that something's off.
Very defensive of the house, as if it's her best friend now, which it basically is.
And now the house is becoming a character in itself.
Yeah.
The house is actually trying to kill this family.
And everyone can sense it except for Marion.
Even if she knows it, she's just straight up denying everything because she is completely obsessed with the house and especially with the sitting room and Mrs. Allardyce.
And Ben even asks Marion at one point, he says, for me, could you give up the house? Would you give up the house? And she pauses so pregnantly, and she's saved in time because Davy comes screaming into the room saying, Aunt Elizabeth isn't well. And so Marion doesn't have to give her answer right then. So they run into Aunt Elizabeth's room, who is looking pretty bad.
As one of our predictions that she was going to die, she just had all the signs of wearing away and being tired.
And at this point, even her speech is starting to fail. In one of her final scenes, Ben is watching over her in her room, and he can hear something coming up the stairs. We're just looking at the door, waiting for something to walk in. And I have to say, this moment was very tense. They're just showing the closed door, and you can hear the steps getting closer and closer. And Betty Davis is giving her speechless all as she's writhing and moaning, and her eyes are circling to her head.
She looks messed up. She looks sweaty, her eyes sunken in. She looks like she is teetering on the edge of her mortal coil.
Yeah, she's near death.
Ben, he is just paralyzed in fear, doing his
shake again, his gripping shake.
Sweating profusely.
Yeah, and then who comes bursting in the room? Tall and toothy.
This guy is straight up creepy. Really sort of sunken in features. He's wearing the glasses.
Very pale. Very vampiric.
Going back to what I said about people in the 70s, this is what I imagine that people looked like back then.
Oh my gosh. I'm sure that was not natural. There's a pound of makeup on that guy.
Very striking, though. Perfect for the role.
Yeah, and he has a nice dimpled chin. I don't think that was prosthetic. I think that's a real dimpled chin.
Do you think those were his real teeth? Or
yeah.
You think they put in some fakes, some falsies?
Oh, maybe some veneers. I don't know. Oh, burnt offering in here. So Tall and Toothy comes in and shoves the casket over to their side, and we cut to someone's funeral. Whose is it?
Elizabeth.
It's Aunt Elizabeth's.
And guess who's not there?
Marion.
She had to stay back and take care of Mrs. Allardyce.
Yeah. She's like, oh, I couldn't just leave her on her own.
Yep.
And I'm going to make this grand dinner with my cloak that looks very vampiric also.
She is starting to look like Countess Dracula right now. And she is looking more and more suspicious, where we're starting to think as viewers, I think she's Miss Allardyce, or she's playing this role of Mrs. Allardyce, because she's wearing the antique jewelry.
She's wearing all the Victorian attire.
Yeah, as soon as she goes full Countess Dracula, then it's, it's game over.
The cameo chokers and the high collars. Oh, yeah. She's definitely a vampire now.
She looked cool. I mean, honestly,
cool.
like, that was a cool look.
Yeah, it was.
I was into that. If I were hanging out in that house, that's what I would want to wear.
You would want to wear a big Victorian gown.
Yes.
That sounds fun. I mean,
just really into the house.
Yeah.
It's like when you go on vacation and you find some like really cool robe, and that's your vacation robe.
That's your vacation robe.
Wear it all weekend.
And then you take it home and you're like, that's not as fun. Yeah, it's better.
Did we do that? Yes, of course we did.
We might have done that.
Well, they try to leave during a crazy rainstorm, and because he had just had enough, so he grabs Davy and it's like, we got to get out of here. Something is wrong, and your mom does not want to come. I gave her this choice. We're packing up. We're leaving. And I made her choose between me or the house, and she clearly chooses the house.
She clearly chooses the house.
So they peace out, and they run to the car in the pouring rain, in the mud, and peace out of there. Mm-hmm. And they drive down that sort of like overgrown driveway that he was trying to hack up with a machete, but he didn't put in enough work because they weren't able to make it out.
No, they weren't. There's kind of this like little Sam Raimi Evil Dead shot where a vine gets Daddy's
Total
ankle.
Evil Dead, yeah.
Yeah.
Tree falls down, blocks the car off.
Blocks the station wagon.
Yeah, he's trying desperately to get through.
Yeah, and Davy's not on board. He's screaming and hitting him and going, Mom, help me.
Yeah.
Come on, Davy, get the picture.
Also, like, poor Davy, he's kind of gotten the shit end of the stick this whole run.
Yeah, he doesn't know which parent to side with, and
Yeah.
Kid. They don't get to leave in that storm, and so they decide to go swimming instead. Davy, he's trying to get Daddy into it again, but
Why
Daddy,
is he going in that pool again?
I
Didn't
don't
he
know.
learn his
You
lesson from
know?
the first time? That pool is
Yeah.
bad news.
And Daddy's not even trying to go in it. He's paralyzed. He's catatonic. Of course, Marion's inside tending to no one. And there is a shot at one point of her eating the tray of food for Mrs. Allardyce. And we're like, okay, obvious.
Yeah,
You're
at this
the one
point,
that-
it is becoming clear
Yeah.
that she is becoming Mrs. Allardyce.
One moment of inconsistency with Marion where she's outside and she tells Davy, get out of the pool. It's kind of like that Jaws moment where, mom's telling little Alex Kintner, get out of the water. You're starting to prune. And Alex is like, oh, come on, Mom. 10 more minutes. It's kind of what Davy does. He's like, oh, come on, Mom. And she's like,
He's a
no.
kid. He's trying to make the best of this really shitty situation.
Yeah, terrible vacation. Worst summer ever. She's like, no, you stay out of the pool. I'm going to go inside. So she leaves and goes inside. She's no longer wearing her Victorian garb. She's wearing her regular I'm Marion garb. And Davy's in the pool and it's starting to get more turbulent. And Dad's like looking very tense and shaky. And the pool's getting more and more turbulent.
You can tell that he is trying with all of his inner might to break this catatonic state that he's in to help his son.
But it's not working, and Davy is underwater and like flailing. And at one point, Marion does look out the window and she's like, oh no, Davy. She's trying to break the window. She finally gets outside and she dives into the pool and she saves Davy.
Very graceful dive.
Very graceful. She's like, Davy. She jumps in.
Someone get that kid some floaties immediately.
Exactly. That kid needs an inner tube.
This kid's like 12, can't swim.
Water rings. Yeah. And Ben actually does manage to stumble out of his chair, but can't do much more than that. He's like, I tried.
But he does break his
He
catatonic
does.
state.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, Dad, you talked. Cool. And that's when Davy's like, Mom, can we leave this place? And she's like, yes, today. Finally.
Yeah. So they pack up and they're almost ready to go. And Marion says, I just have to check on Mrs. Allardyce one more time.
Right, they're,
I'm
like,
just gonna
in the
leave
car.
her my number just in case she needs something.
Yeah, they're in the car. All three of them, they're all packed up and they're inside the car. She's like, oh, wait, I forgot to tell Miss Allardyce. And I'm like, how many times have we seen this in a movie where the main characters, they almost leave, but they go back for one more thing? I'm like, oh man, this movie's not over. So she gets out, she goes inside. And I will say that these last 10 minutes of the movie were so tense. She goes in, there's no music playing at all, no score. She just goes in the house, she goes upstairs, and then we see Ben and Davy waiting in the car. No music at all. It's completely silent, and we're just waiting for something to happen. And Ben is stewing. He's like, you can tell his inner dialogue is like, do I go in there and get her? Should I give her a few more minutes? How long should I wait? And so finally he's like, okay. And he tells Davy, I'm going to go get your mother. He doesn't say I'll be right back or anything like that. It's like he knows that he's not going to be right back.
Yeah.
You can tell on his face. He just knows this is the end for him. And so he goes in the house and he goes upstairs. And still this whole moment while he's walking up the stairs, it's completely silent. And if this was any other movie being filmed today, there would be rising strings and really tense music playing.
I didn't even notice the music because of how tense the scene was.
It was so tense.
Wow.
And they finally start playing some music when he gets into the sitting room.
Okay.
But you don't hear anything until he gets into that sitting room. And even when he touched the doorknob, it made me jump because it was the only sound that you heard for 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah. The great thing about this is you know exactly what's going to happen by this point, but they are building up that tension and you're waiting for this reveal.
Yeah.
And it works.
It does work. And so he gets into the sitting room. He knocks on Miss Allardyce's door. He goes inside and we actually see the back of Mrs. Allardyce.
Sitting in a chair looking out the window.
Sitting in her chair.
Stark blonde.
Stark white hair in a
Yeah.
bun. And he's trying to explain to her, and we just see her coral-colored fingernails. I'm like, oh, wasn't that the color of Marion's fingernails?
And at this point, it looked like she could have been sort of a psycho mom corpse style. But then you see the fingers just move a
And
little
the
bit.
fingernails are moving. We're like, oh man, it's Marion for sure. So he finally goes over to her and he turns the chair and sees, and we get to see her. It is Marion.
But she has aged severely.
Significantly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. She looks like a vampire. Like her eyes are so pale blue.
And this is the really creepy moment. She looks him in the eyes because he kind of like shakes Mrs. Allardyce towards him, and she's like, "I was waiting for you."
Yeah.
And she looks super creepy.
She does. She looks sinister. Like even if it is Marion but aged,
You believe that this is full possessed Marion.
yes, full on possessed
Yeah.
Marion.
And so what does she do? She
Tosses him out the window. Bye, Ben.
he lands face first into the windshield of the station wagon.
Blood splatters into Davy's face.
And that's a pretty terrifying scene. The way they
Yeah.
pulled off this effect. I'm sure they cut a hole and, just squished his face in there.
Squished
But
his little face in there.
that scene was quite terrifying.
Yeah, and Davy just screaming and like the blood splattering in this kid's face, knowing it's his dad's blood. That was pretty horrific.
Yeah, he's going crazy
Full
right now.
panic mode. He
Panicked.
jumps out of the car and he's screaming for mom to come out. Mom's not coming out. And the house starts crumbling. I think it's the chimney.
Yeah, so bricks are flying off and all that. And Davy looks up in terror at the house itself, and the bricks fall onto Davy.
Fall on Davy, crushing him.
So you don't actually see the bricks falling on an
Yeah.
actual thing.
Yeah, you don't need to see a splattered kid. You can put two and two together and imagine what happened. Yeah, and then we cut to our fully restored house and the voiceover of the Allardyce siblings saying, "Mother is fully restored."
The flowers are blooming and the grass is perfectly green.
Yeah, ivy no longer crawling up the walls. It's pure,
pristine and
pristine
perfect.
and pure.
And so they snap a picture and they put it on the wall.
Yeah,
So we know that this has happened multiple times.
Yeah.
Every time the house becomes decrepit, a new family is invited in, and in that vampire-like way that we predicted, sucks the life force literally out of the new
occupants.
inhabitants.
Yeah.
And then it gets restored. Takes
Yeah.
care of itself.
But not to worry for those occupants. They get their glory too. They get to be on the offering table.
They get themselves a nice little framed photo.
Yeah, they get a little frame picture. And you know what? The Rolfs got pretty big photos.
Big, bright colored photos.
Yeah, bigger than any of the other photos.
That was Burnt Offering. I think it lived up to the recommendation by this Scream cast member,
Scream
production member.
crew member.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that feature again and find out who she was. But thank you, lady from Scream Set.
So what were your initial reactions to the movie?
It definitely was a slow burn offering.
But weren't all movies at that time a slow burn as
By
compared
today's
to...
standards, I hear this a lot. Oh, it's from the 70s. It was a slow burn. I think you're right. I think any movie that was pre 1997 or something is probably considered a slow burn. I'm sure Scream is considered a slow burn.
I was
by
going to
today's
say maybe
standards.
Scream was the movie that stopped that slow burn
Stop
craze.
the slow burn. Yeah, I don't know.
I want to say in the 80s things shifted too. Just right out the gate you're getting...
Yeah, all the
Big
Nightmare on
kills and
Elm
stuff.
Street movies, I feel like those are pretty fast paced.
Yeah.
I would say that a lot of horror movies in the 70s and previously, they are slow burns. They're more dialogue heavy.
Right.
And
There's more of a tension build.
Yes.
And
like-
I was saying that, this is totally The Shining, which is why I made that Jack Torrance prediction.
Yeah.
But this actually predates
it
The Shining.
predates The Shining.
And it predates Amityville Horror.
Mhm.
That's very interesting. I could see maybe those movies being...
Influenced.
being influenced by this movie.
Yeah, I can see that too.
A family driven to madness. The house is alive. The house, in a sense, is a vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we go over predictions?
Let's go over predictions.
Okay.
My number one prediction was that Aunt Liz is going to die in her sleep because she was getting tired and she looked like she was aging. So I knew something was up there. And while she didn't die in her sleep, she did die in her bed. So I feel like that's close enough. I feel like that warrants a
You
point.
know, I have the same prediction. So whatever you give yourself, I'll give myself the same.
We're going to get a point there.
Okay, we get a point for that. Good. Aunt Liz dies in bed.
She was the safest bet for a character
Yeah.
death in this movie. I wouldn't have predicted that the son and Ben would die. I thought that
I
Aunt
kind of
Liz-
thought they all would die.
I felt like maybe they would be trapped in the house or something. You know, this was actually pretty vicious of a movie, and this house was on a rampage.
It was.
My next prediction was that Pappy will go full Jack Torrance. That didn't quite happen.
No.
I feel like he got all of his aggression out when he grabbed the machete and started hacking up the leaves outside.
Oh, I was going to say in the pool when he tried to drown his son.
Well, so then it continued on. And then I think because he got his aggression out in that way,
Yeah.
he was able to relieve himself.
Yeah.
And then he was just struck by fear and became this sort of like catatonic, terror-stricken guy.
So the lesson is, if you have pent up rage, go exercise,
Do
go
some
hack-
yard work.
go trim your driveway with a machete, and you'll be fine. You won't go Jack Torrance. You might still get dead.
Yeah,
but
Marion was actually closer to going full Jack Torrance.
she was
but
pretty Jack Torrance.
and I would say she was there mentally, but not
Yeah.
physically
Yeah.
yet.
I would have loved to have seen her with an axe, just
Chasing people
flying
around.
through the house. Yeah.
She did throw Ben out the window, so
She did.
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, she did. Pretty good.
But not in the way we don't see this full
Yeah.
kind of like madman
We didn't
style.
get to see her cathartic rage. Yeah.
Yeah, so we didn't see that. So I didn't get a point for that.
No point.
That's okay. My number 3 prediction was that Mrs. Allardyce is dead, like a psycho situation. It was very close to being a psycho situation, but it was more of Mrs. Allardyce never existed. In a way, Mrs. Allardyce is the house.
Yeah.
And she needs some vessel. So maybe she's more of like a ghost or demonic entity that needs a vessel to regenerate herself.
Yeah, and the siblings at the end do say, "Mother is restored." And by mother, it's the house. What have they framed? The house.
Yeah, I'm not going to give myself a point there. I got close.
Very close.
That's about as close a prediction you can get without actually getting a point.
You know, I'll give you a quarter of a point.
A quarter of a point. These are very subjective points.
Yeah.
There's no actual rules
Well, you
here.
wrote Psycho, and that moment with, Granny in the chair was very reminiscent of Psycho. So
That's true. Yeah.
I like that part of
All
your
right,
prediction.
I'll take it. I'll take a quarter. Yeah. Okay, my number 4 prediction was that the house feeds on the suffering of its inhabitants. Things get repaired after someone is hurt.
Yep.
That sounds like a solid point to me.
That's a solid point. Yeah.
Because as you were saying, the family is the offering. This house really is like a demonic entity, a
Yeah.
vampire-like entity.
Yeah.
It's like a Venus flytrap. It
Yeah.
lures people in.
Once you get in, you don't get out.
Exactly. And then that's how it regenerates itself. So that is a solid point right there.
Solid point.
Yes. My number 5 and Whopper, which I don't know about this one, but couldn't come up with anything else, was that someone will come by the house at the end of the movie and say, "The house burned down 100 years ago."
That was very specific.
Well, because I was going with this theme of a ghost vampire house. And if it's a ghost house, then I feel like we would have gotten that scene of somebody coming by later and saying like, "The house never existed."
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
you mad?
I was also thinking that maybe we would get a scene of the family trying to escape and they get all the way down the road and then they turn a corner and they end up
They're
back
back
to where
at the
they started.
house. Yeah.
And we've seen this in horror movies
That has
plenty
happened.
of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've seen the "that house never existed" trope.
Yeah.
We've seen the
You'll never get out.
I drove 5 miles down the road and I ended up in the same spot. Like you're in purgatory kind of
right.
situation.
Like in that show.
Them or they or
the From.
From, yeah.
From.
We got to check out the rest of that one.
We've
That
only
one looked
seen the
pretty
first
good.
episode because it was free.
Yeah.
The other ones were not free.
Well, I think
for
it's
us.
free now.
Is
on
it free
Prime.
now?
I think it might be on Prime.
All right, we'll check it out.
All right.
All right. So my predictions. Number 1, Aunt Elizabeth dies.
Very
1
nice.
point.
Very nice. Yes. Very good.
Mm-hmm. Number 2, the Allardyces are vampires. Bloodline started in the 1890s, but also they're kind of like the familiars to the house. They're not vampires?
I don't think they're vampires.
Then who's taking all those photos?
I think the house could be a vampire.
Well, if the house is a vampire and house is mother, then the children of mother must also be vampires.
So it's like a non-traditional vampire. So I'll give you a point for a non-traditional implied vampire.
Implied
but
vampire?
they don't have fangs.
No.
They do have capes.
Yeah, they have like Victorian capes.
That is true. Okay. Now I'm starting to turn a page on the vampire thing.
I mean, they never explicitly say vampire, but I kind of feel like they are a relative of the vampire.
Yeah.
Oh, it is hot in here.
I have to suffer through
I
it.
am feeling those burnt offerings. Okay, fine. Half a point for the Allardyces are a type of vampire. 3, the house is a vampire.
Yeah, fully yes.
Full point for house.
It's like
is
a Venus
vampire.
flytrap.
Okay. I said the house is a vampire. It grows stronger with every cut and scrape. It sucks the life from its guests. Okay. And then 4, Davy will put out a literal fire with the pool pump.
Was that your Whopper? I don't know where that one was.
That was more of like a grasping at straws. Like,
Okay.
I don't know what else to say here. So that's no. That's 0.
That's no.
Nothing. And
Poor
then-
Davy.
Poor Davy. And then 5, the burnt offerings are the Rolfs. I also say they age and are lit on fire.
Whoa, you had a lot in that Whopper.
I
guess
did.
you had to make it into a Whopper.
They age and are lit on fire as a final offering to the house.
They were consumed by the house, literally.
Yeah. They
So,
weren't lit
yeah.
on fire,
No.
but they were the burnt offering. They
Yeah.
were the final offering to the house.
Yeah, so that's definitely, I'll give that a point.
A point?
Yeah,
Really?
I'll give that a point, yeah.
All right.
Because they were the offerings. Although it's like you had too much, but
Should
forget that I heard the last couple parts.
Should I dock a quarter because I said the
Yeah, 3/4 of a point, yeah.
All right, so I get 3/4 of a point for that.
All right, what does that bring you to?
That brings me to 3 1/4.
3 1/4. Wow, that's pretty good. I have scored 2 1/4. So Aleece is the winner of this episode.
We got very technical with the fractions.
Very technical.
Yeah.
We talk about the family being the burnt offerings,
Yeah.
but what are burnt offerings?
So I had a feeling it was rooted in religion somehow, just because, the word offering sounds very religious.
Yeah, like an offering.
And apparently it's, I think, rooted in Judaism. A burnt offering was for a god. A burnt offering is a form of sacrifice first described in the Hebrew Bible as a tribute to God.
Thanks, Wikipedia.
Thank you, Wikipedia. So these are more metaphorical burnt offerings.
But it's an offering made for a metaphorical god. Is that what you said?
Well,
Sorry, I was only half listening.
Oh, okay, fine. A burnt offering was entirely burnt on the altar. Yeah, and there's a little picture of an animal burning on an altar.
Oh, wow. That's like actual, like a blood sacrifice.
Yeah,
sort of
like
thing.
a burn sacrifice.
Yeah. And that interpretation, then the house becomes the god.
Yeah.
And the mother. The
The
mother
mother.
is the house,
Mhm.
and the mother and the house are the god.
Yeah. What I love is that there's this wall of mother's picture. The siblings have taken mother's picture, the house, throughout time.
Oh, okay.
And-
I see where you're going with that. I was like, I don't know where you're going with this.
Well, in the beginning, when the Rolfs are looking at that wall of pictures and it's all of the house,
Right.
and Ben goes, "That's strange. It's all of the house." And it's like, well, that makes sense now, because if the house is mother, you want to have a wall dedicated to your mom, right? So your mom gets a whole wall where her photo.
It's like putting up her yearbook photo every year.
Yeah, every year. Mom gets a little older, so you put up a picture of mom.
Pictures get a little better.
Yeah, there's mom. Aw.
Some other thoughts after seeing this movie. The score really helps in the tension of the film. I really thought that Betty Davis's performance was great.
Yeah.
She might have been my favorite character.
Yeah, she was pretty good. And she really had, I think, the most defined character arc. She went from being very vibrant to almost infantile and down to her last groans, when she's looking at the door, waiting for it to open, knowing something sinister is behind it,
Yes.
she sounded like a baby.
She's actually a reverse of the greenhouse that we see. The greenhouse starts with these dead flowers and it slowly becomes more and more vibrant. In the second half, we actually see a scene where Marion walks into that greenhouse and it is chock full of life. This is actually, right after Elizabeth dies.
Right after she dies.
And it looks like the jacket she was wearing.
It does, yes, because Elizabeth's jacket was like that greenhouse, so lively and vibrant.
Yeah.
And the house just sucked that right out of her.
Sucked out her vitality.
I know. Sorry, Aunt Elizabeth. I did like her performance. According to IMDb, she did not enjoy performing with Oliver Reed very much.
You know, I've heard some stories about Oliver and how he was maybe a bit of a drinker and maybe he died in a drunken day at the bar arm wrestling some sailors.
Oh, yeah. Maybe
during the filming of Gladiator.
Yeah, chugging 3 bottles of rum.
That is some pretty crazy shit.
That's crazy. However, I have also heard stories of Betty Davis not always getting along with co-stars.
Well, you know, if you get a guy who's a boozer,
you get like a silver screen icon.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't need to take your shit. I'm Betty Davis.
Exactly. Yeah. So they probably butt heads.
Probably so.
Yeah.
Apparently, she also did not get along with Karen Black.
No, she didn't get along with anyone. Did she get along with Davy?
Probably Davy.
She likes the young bucks.
Yeah, Davy's probably fine.
Speaking of Davy, that's the other point I wanted to make was poor Davy.
Poor Davy.
He has the saddest character of this entire film. Like, he almost drowns in a pool twice.
Once by the hand of his father. That's terrifying.
He almost suffocates due to a gas leak.
Yeah.
And then a chimney full of bricks fall and kill him.
Well,
after he sees his dad die right in front of him.
Also abducted and wondering why his dad is trying to kidnap him away from his mother. So all these traumatizing things are happening to Davy. This is the worst summer vacation ever.
Yeah, he definitely, because he's dead.
And then he dies. That's
so he definitely got the shit end of the stick here. And speaking of summer vacations, this is a terrible summer vacation. This is why I wanted to mention the Airbnb horror story
where we had a stinky bedroom.
Yeah, this does not even come close.
This is on par with our stinky bedroom in Seattle.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, reverse that. Our stinky bedroom in Seattle does not come close to the horrors of staying in this house.
It was pretty bad, though. You haven't smelled that bedroom, guys.
How do you feel about these big Victorian mansion style house, the decor? Like, would you live in one?
No. It's way too much upkeep. Marion didn't mind, but you know how much you would have to dust constantly? Ugh.
Do you like the aesthetic of like the old wallpaper and this sort of ornate?
Actually, the wallpaper, yes. I think wallpaper is kind of fun.
The ornate furniture and frames and antique furniture. Are you a fan of that?
I will say when she was in that sitting room, it looked very dark. And I was like, ugh, how could she find that relaxing? That looks so like suffocating and dark and depressing. I don't mind the wallpaper or the greenhouse. That kitchen looked kind of nice.
Yeah.
But that little sitting room, ugh. I guess that's just like a hint at her, psychosis, that she finds that relaxing, surrounded by dead people.
To me, it just looks so dusty. It's just like...
Exactly. Yeah. Those houses are just pure dust balls.
Yeah. We should get into our awards ceremony. Yeah.
Yes, we should.
We haven't mentioned before.
I am melting.
There's a heat wave, a real serious heat wave going on right now.
And we cannot put on the air conditioner for you listeners because you'll hear it. And
we are literally burning ourselves in offering to the podcast.
Yeah, we're very method with this podcast.
Exactly.
So our next movie that we review is going to be that one on the ski lift.
The Burning.
No, the one on the ski lift where it's just cold.
That way we can just sit in ice block here and that will naturally cool.
Yeah, what's that one called? It's called like a ski lift. Ski or like hanging.
I'm never gonna guess this. So
it's like fall, but they're in a ski lift.
My best guess is called ski.
I think it's called freeze.
Frozen.
Frozen. It's Frozen. It's a
Frozen,
children's musical.
Yeah.
Get back to us, guys, if you know what I'm talking about. People on a ski lift and they die or they get really cold. Okay, award ceremony. Golden Gut. Who or what gets the Golden Gut for this film?
Oh, okay. Do I get to go first?
Yeah.
This is a pretty easy one for me.
Yeah, I think I know what it is.
My Golden Gut goes to Betty Davis.
Oh.
Aunt Elizabeth.
Yeah.
She was my favorite character in the film.
Yeah.
She was sassy and she looked cool. She's a painter.
She did look cool.
So I can really relate to that because I did go to art school.
You went to art school. You painted things.
I used to be a painter.
So you are Betty Davis.
I thought she had a nice range
Yeah.
of, she was this sort of like hip aunt. And then at the end when she was babbling and she looked very sweaty
Yeah,
and
she
dead.
turned into a baby. She was like wailing like a baby.
Yeah, she's a
And
cool character.
I liked her too.
Yeah, she gets my Golden Gut.
Nice. My Golden Gut is going to be, it comes down to either the score, the menacing score, or the last 10 minutes of the movie, that silent period.
Oh.
Or Tall and Toothy.
Well,
Ooh, hold on, wait. Tall and Toothy was pretty creepy. All right. I'm changing my mind. I'm giving the Golden Gut to Tall and Toothy.
oh wow. Okay, I was gonna say you usually don't choose a technical aspect. I was about to be impressed.
Excuse me?
Sorry, I was about to be shocked.
Oh, okay.
Not impressed.
You're
That's the
no
wrong
longer
word.
impressed with me.
Shocked.
I mean, it almost was a three-way tie between a scene, the score, or Tall and Toothy.
Yeah,
But Tall and Toothy was so creepy.
he was quite creepy.
Even like his
And
first moment.
it's crazy that he predates the tall man.
He predates the tall man, Tall and Toothy. Very lanky, very toothy. I liked his grin.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that decision right there.
Yeah.
What gets your best intestines? The best intestines award is for who has the best, saddest, or most gut-wrenching death. And at first I thought we weren't going to get too many traditional death scenes, but we actually did.
We got a few.
In the climax.
You know, I'm going to give it to Ben. That being thrown out of the window and face planting into the family station wagon with your blood splattering on your son's face.
That's pretty intense.
That was crazy.
That was pretty crazy.
Yeah. And his just like lifeless blue eyes staring back at his kid. Oh, that was creepy. Yeah, it's going to Dad.
I can almost fully agree with that. Although I just had it in my mind because I was wavering between the two, the dad or the son.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give it to the son on this one just because I feel so bad for
Yeah.
Davey. This is like the summer vacation from hell.
Yeah.
Literally. And his summer vacation ends with a chimney full of bricks falling on him after he witnesses his dad's death right up
Yeah.
in his face.
That's a pure shit stick.
Yeah,
Poor
so
kid.
I just feel bad for this kid.
Yeah.
He's definitely, it sucks.
So he
for
has to
him.
get some award.
Yeah, he
so
gets,
he
for me, he gets the best
he
intestines.
gets an
It's like a
intestine.
nice little consolation
Yeah, like
prize.
here you go.
Sorry, you died, but
This one podcast gave you an award.
yeah. Many years later.
What gets the axe for you? What one element or character would you cut from the film?
Can you go first?
Yeah, I would say like, you know, all the boob groping from Ben.
The boog.
Yeah, he like did too much boob groping.
I think it was just one scene,
It felt like a lot.
but it was a lot. That one scene carried a lot
It
of
was
weight.
very present in my mind. I feel like he did it at least 3 times. So yeah, whatever boob groping that
So
happened.
you're going to axe off his hand so that he can't grope?
No, I mean, not that sinister. I really feel like he improv that moment. That's why I would get rid of it.
Oh, man. All right. I'm going to give my gutted axe award to the haircuts. Particularly the little boy, this sort of 70s long bowl cut style. I don't know what you call it. It's like the page boy or whatever.
Yeah, well, Davey had the page boy.
It's
Ben-
always irked me. I don't know how that could have been in fashion.
Yeah.
Call me maybe out of touch. Maybe I'm not
Yeah,
that hip.
you're old. You're new fashion.
Because I know fashions recycle themselves,
Yeah.
so I'm sure at some point, closest I experienced on my own was like that sort of almost famous early 2000s hair
Yeah,
flip.
with the bangs,
Yeah.
boy bangs.
Or maybe it's, what is that, like the indie rock style.
Yeah.
What I don't know even
The
what you would call that.
Jim Halpert from The Office season 1.
Yeah, that's kind of the closest. But there's something about the haircuts in the 70s on men where the hair was incredibly full in the back, very sparse in the bang area, and then just like a blunt chop cut covers your ears. It's just hot. It looks hot.
It does look hot, but maybe it was intended to be warm for the colder areas of the country.
Are you saying this is like, global warming had affected the hairstyles?
Yeah, and now we're sweating because
now everyone's skin bald.
Now we all need to be... No, I would want a hairdo that is spiked up but then comes out like an umbrella.
I think that's coming.
It can shade me.
It's coming in 2024.
Oh, here's hoping. I'm sweating, guys.
I'm not saying that like some of the hairstyles I had growing up were that cool because I had some like pretty god awful hairstyles.
Hey, you dared to try.
I used to use a tub of gel.
Yeah, you dared to gel and spike and have bleach blonde tips. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've had the same hairstyle since I was 5.
Yeah, it's eventually going to come back around.
Good.
So you'll be cool every 15 years.
That's what I figure. just waiting it out.
Next segment, the blockbuster rating. Our favorite video store. Where would you place burnt offerings in your blockbuster? Is it going to be a staff pick? Is it going to be on the main shelf? Is it a bargain bin? Or are you going to find this in the back alley dumpster?
I've yet to review a movie for this podcast where the movie goes into the back alley dumpster. I don't even know if I've placed any in the bargain bin yet, but...
we try to choose movies we think are going to be okay at least.
I think the closest we got to bargain bin was when we did Prom Night, the remake.
Right.
You've made me put it in Hollywood Video. And I was like, fine, I'll put it on the main shelf in Hollywood Video. But I didn't even get to put it in the bargain bin.
Such a burn to Hollywood Video. I love Hollywood Video, by the way.
Maybe you said you're taking yours to Hollywood Video and I'm leaving.
I did, yeah.
So I think I'm pretty solidly leaving this one on the main shelf.
Main shelf?
Yeah.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. I probably would not put it in the staff pick, but I think it's pretty solid on the main shelf for me.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I feel like it could possibly be a staff pick. Mm-hmm. This predates certain haunted house movies.
Yeah, like Shining, Phantasm, and Amityville Horror.
This started to become a very popular type of horror movie to make in the 70s and into the 80s. But I feel like it's going to be a main shelf for me.
Main shelf, yeah.
I have to agree.
If we're going by creepy characters, then Tall and Toothy, I think I'd place in my staff pick. That guy is so creepy. Loved his toothiness. I was creeped out, but also slightly attracted to him in a very he's intriguing kind of a way. What's his deal?
What's his deal?
Why is he so happy? What's his secret?
His secret is being an evil entity.
I don't know if he was evil. He just looked happy.
I mean, he looked pretty evil to me.
I mean, he took pleasure in his job. He was the chauffeur of dead people, and he was happy about it.
Yeah.
So I can't fault him for that. He didn't actually do anything bad. He just came with a casket for Aunt Liz before she died. So he was good at his job. He predicted. He's like, I know what I like. Is that him? Oh my God.
Is that?
He looks terrifying.
Okay, so for those who are curious, just go ahead and search for Anthony James. Wonderful actor. He's been in a lot of Westerns. He stopped acting in the 90s to pursue an art career.
Ooh, yeah, so you identify with him as well.
Of course, yeah.
Okay,
and his name's Anthony and my name's Tony.
Anyway, I really like this man's look. He just passed away in 2020. I am intrigued to look up more of his films.
What are your last thoughts on Burnt Offerings?
I'm going to stick with my my punny line. It is a slow burn offering. And Tall and Toothy, one of my favorite creepy characters now.
I'm going to say, if this is a modern day Airbnb and you're renting a house that seems too good to be true, it is too good to be true.
If two siblings are renting out their grand mansion to you in exchange for hard labor, say no.
Go work on a farm somewhere.
Yeah, work on a farm. That sounds way more rewarding.
Well, that about wraps it up for this episode. We are literally burning up.
We're sweating. We're going to go find some ice cubes.
That's right. Thank you for watching and or listening. Give us a like, subscribe.
Email us, check out the Patreon if interested.
Yeah, that's right.
Let us know what kind of episodes you are interested in hearing from us.
This has been another episode of Gutted.